Warren, welcome back.
Yeah, I can't wait. That was so
Well,
much fun in that last episode.
if you guys missed it, our first episode, Warren gave so many practical tips and from a positive mindset approach to keeping your family safe without living in fear. And in this episode, I really want to actually hone in and go deep on the mindset side of this because you're a parent as well. I know it's also very important to you to not just keep your kids safe, but to give them the tools to make good decisions throughout their whole life and the understanding of how to do that. And I think this is a very nuanced and balanced topic to really kind of tackle because there's that trade-off between wanting to give them education and make sure they have the ability to make good choices while still respecting their agency and their autonomy and letting them practice making those decisions. Even though I know as a mom, I wish sometimes I could just make all those decisions for them and keep them perfectly safe. That's not how the parenting curve works. And I know this is something you put a lot of thought and foresight into with your own kids and that you are very involved dad. So I know this is a massive topic. We talked about the practicality side a lot in our first episode, but from the mindset side, how do you navigate this with your kids in that balance of giving them the education and tools they need from a not strictly fear-based approach, and also making sure you're respecting their agency and their ability to make decisions within their capacity at whatever age?
Yeah, it's I mean, it's the pink elephant in the room or whatever you want to label it. It's the most important thing, right? Because we don't want to raise children that just are obedient to what we say and we're forcing them because it's not creating this autonomous leader, this child that's going to go out there and have impact and just feel safe, feel empowered, like a lot of things that were taken away from me. So, when we were growing up, it was quite the opposite. So this has been the biggest challenge because I have these patterns of snap, of control, and it's so hard. And luckily, my wife is absolutely amazing. Rebecca, she's a she's a badass. And she reminds me we both have different strengths, so we do appreciate each other so much and the strengths that we have. But hers is she's always reminding me she was raised a little differently than I was, and so the key to parenting, right, and especially with a non-toxic lifestyle, is getting them. And this is leadership 101 anyway. You want others to make the decisions for themselves, then they own it. And then it's exciting for them. So when I start doing the research on shoes, the kids were involved, right? At some point, I was super frustrated because I want the toxic ones. And I'm like, these are pretty. And I'm like, oh, dear Lord, it doesn't matter if it's pretty, but they're like, they want it to be pretty. So, but after that, they have limited time on their iPads. But when they have an hour, like between classes in school, because we homeschool, they're able to look for things and we allow them. And Tula wound up finding the shoes that I bought her, right? And she loves those shoes. And now her shoes are famous because I got on the Instagram video. And so, so getting them to make the decision, start educating them. It's called incremental persuasion, and just dropping hints. If you do use devices, dropping videos. I have a lot of moms, the kids follow me on Instagram and they're telling their mom about, I spoke at an event. The lady didn't know me, but the kid did and was like, oh my gosh, that's non-toxic dad. So children, I mean, that brings tears to my eyes. The 23-year-old found me in Home Depot. So it's that generation is what we really want to educate. So the importance of this is critical to be able to gently integrate some of these things into their life. But you can't force it upon them. You have to make it their idea. And so you have to drop seeds and we have to be patient instead of, okay, you're going to do this now, right? Or you're grounded, you're done, So you want to educate your kids because they are brilliant and they remember everything and they're geniuses and they're creative and they don't need talked down to, like all the things that I still do as a parent, right? I know it's wrong, but I still do it. So you got to have grace for yourself, forgive yourself quickly, learn quickly, ask for forgiveness from your kids and move on. And that's powerful, right? Because we're not going to, like, if you look at it, most of us have this generational child stuff is not, it's from a bunch of white male doctors that weren't raising families. We've gotten rid of the hunter-gatherer family stuff. Read Hunt, Gather, Parent. That's probably the best Bible on ancient parenting and using a tribe and how that all got broken up. But and there's no real science behind a lot of the parenting methods that are being touted today, right? But this consciousness, Katie, is coming back. This ability to respect the child as a soul, as an individual, and watching them. It's so much fun to see them get it. It's so much fun to see them making good choices on their own. It's way more rewarding than getting obedience, right? You're getting collaboration. You're not just getting obedience. I mean, there's different words for it, but you're not just getting compliance. You want collaboration. You want your kids bringing stuff to you, and then it becomes fun in the home, right? Everybody's learning and growing. Everybody has an opinion, and we're able to do that. And if you don't move in anger, even though I still do at times, my daughter's like, I want to go to, where's that fast food restaurant? Because it's fast food to me, not Chick-fil-A, because we would never go there. Sorry if you do, but we would never go there, not even for a special treat. What's the Mexican based one that's a little
Oh,
bit clean?
Chipotle.
Chipotle, and she like tries to twist that knife because you say Chipotle in my house, that makes my blood boil. But she purposely does it because she wants my attention, and she gets it, So I just got to ignore that, smile, and say, "Oh, honey, maybe on a special treat we can do Chipotle. I'm glad you love it so much, right?" But that balance between getting compliance, making them in a non-toxic lifestyle. If you're one of those moms, I'm one of those dads. My wife isn't so much that way. She's more balanced. But that's the answer. You need to have this balanced approach. And they can memorize, they can learn. Even as young as, my daughter's 3 years old, and she's gathering outside. Can I eat the pea pods, daddy? Like, learning what's toxic and what's not, right? So she understands the flowers that can make her sick and the ones that she can eat. Here's the foods that are healthy for you. Here's the ones that are not. Here's the ones we wash. So make sure participation is key. Kids are going to be, very high energy, especially when they're younger. To calm them down, give them something to do. If you're baking and you're cooking, teach them about, hey, we're using organic potatoes, and this is why. They'll remember everything that you say to them. Get them cutting up potatoes, and they're going to be cutting potatoes for a half hour while you just cooked breakfast, right? So there's lots of ways. So what I always say is, like, in the middle of it, I'm like overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all this to do. I have to get out the door. The kids are going to tennis. One's going to parkour. We limit to 2 things so we're not too busy. We got them out of track. I love track. Me, I was an All-American javelin thrower, so I'm sad, but they didn't like track. But I always think, let's focus on the solution and not on the problem in our home, right? So what is the solution? Sometimes I have to do that to myself. What's the solution? Just get them to participate. And then all the whining, all the complaining goes away, because kids, especially youngs, littles, they just want to help. They just want to be a part. And all kids want to contribute. Me, I'm the controller dad. I do everything. Let me do it for you. Let me. I can do it faster. That's my pattern. But really, that's not what you want, right? Kids want to participate and they want to contribute. That gives them a self-confidence that allows them to have a voice, right? And I'm so thankful for my wife and the books she makes me read, that keeps that consciousness coming. So, Katie, you got a big family. I want to hear from you now because I want to learn a little bit on this podcast as well.
Oh, well, so much echo everything you just said. I think you brought up so many important points. And I think it's Amy McCready who said, kids have these core desires for belonging and significance. And when they can actually contribute in a meaningful way, they get to feel that significance. And hopefully, in our spending time with them, they also feel a belonging in our family culture. But I know from a parenting side, those things often require more patience than us just doing it for them. So I feel you on that. That's my pattern that I've been working to break as well. But my first principle of parenting that some listeners probably have heard me say before is that each of my kids is already, from the moment I get them, their own infinite autonomous being. They are not some person who will be autonomous and infinite that's loading or in progress. They already are. And
Yeah.
I'm by no means perfect at it, but when I'm able to keep that at the forefront of my mind and my interactions with them, I find they respond so well. And like you touched on, I have so much hope for seeing this future generation, this upcoming generation, and how capable they are and how educated they are. Even my kids are still in the track world. And so I coach high school track. And even outside of my own kids, seeing these high schoolers making really good decisions with what they're eating and getting enough sleep and being aware of what's going in their bodies, I have so much hope when I see that because they, like you said, they're paying attention to this
They're
stuff
getting it.
and they're researching it and they're bringing it to their parents, which I love to see. And I love that it seems like your approach is similar to mine in that rather than the fear-based side or the focusing on what's bad and avoiding it, is building that good into our family culture. I think things stick so much better when it becomes part of our culture, which means also we have to model it even more than we have to speak it. Like, yes, they pay attention to what we say, but there's so many quotes around that, kids can do a great job of ignoring what you say, but they'll become exactly who you are kind of thing. And so to the degree that we can model that, not just in the actions, but in the mindset around the actions, I think that carries so much weight. Even if those are, like you said, I love that analogy, even if those are just seeds for now, we don't plant something in our garden and then go back 10 minutes later and expect it to have grown. We plant it and we expect that it's going to take time to fully grow, and we have patience and we water it and we nourish it and we protect it, but we don't control it and we don't try to force that growth. We let it happen naturally. And I think that applies so much to the parenting world as well.
It
Um,
does.
I think also, like when we talk about the family culture side, the great part here is, we got to go deep on some of the easy toxins to avoid in our first episode, but there's also a lot of free or really inexpensive things that we can build into our family culture that can make a big difference for our own health and for our kids' health, especially. And so in our family, a couple examples would be things like morning sunlight, which I've modeled for years. And now my kids do without me reminding them, encouraging them, or suggesting it. They just go outside first thing in the morning because they know now that they have more energy when they do that. Or the
Hmm.
amount of time we spend outside. Like so much can be improved by simply spending more time outside in the sunshine, which is
Sleep,
free.
all of it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, we all have these fancy red lights, but that same spectrum of light is available at every sunrise and every sunset. And if we just go see more sunrises and sunsets, we get that exposure. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your family culture and any of those habits that you guys build in as a family that your kids love or that have become part of your culture.
Well, the barefoot thing is key because I'm getting more and more barefoot as I age, and I love it. I've got nice big calluses on my feet now, and I can go about just anywhere. I got a friend of mine who hikes barefoot, been doing it for like 8 years, so I'm going to start hiking barefoot, and so that's part of our culture. Our kids go outside and we garden. I think a garden is a great way to expose your children to microbes, soil organisms, fungus, things that they need. So gardening, and if that's too much work, I just did a video. I think I'll release it. We'll see, but just get those terracotta pots, buy organic soil, buy some Dr. Earths that has some of the mycorrhizae fungi in there, because that's really the important part when it comes to healthy food. A different episode, regenerative farming, look it up. The importance of it. It's not just nutrients, it's the bugs, nematodes, the fungus, all that release, make bioavailable minerals for the plants. And that's what make the plants healthy and give us the minerals. So a beautiful tomato can be non-nutritious, or one that's from a regenerative farm that had bioavailable minerals to come up into that plant. And that's the microorganisms inside the soil, like the microorganisms inside of our body, is what make us healthy. It's the genetic switches that we're more bacteria than we are cells. We're even more virus. So all that's important. So that's a big one for me. I think gardening really checks a lot of the boxes. I get my kids outside. My daughter was unruly last night. You're going to go water. She just pee-peed on the potty. I wish I could have done the, baby breaking potty trained at 6 months, but our family's been, just like some of yours, right? Weren't able to do that, right? Didn't have the bandwidth, but so her reward for going pee was, hey, you can get to go water the garden with daddy. So I'm just get the kid outside. She's watering, getting ions, grounding, eating pea pods, just getting them outside, which is going to help her sleep, going to give her deeper sleep, which is going to give us more rest. So that's a big thing that we do. We garden as a family. We do a lot of things outdoors. Some of the other culture is what we try to do is I try to model love and forgiveness, especially, these years. My heart has softened, and I'm like, man, I've been a quote unquote Christian a long time. And then I go to church and I see some things, and I see some patterns, and it's just, yeah, I want to go all in. I want to live this stuff to its full capacity. Can my heart be sensitive enough? Can I understand and be non-judgmental enough? And so I don't want to say the example, let's just say it was a neighbor that was not being very nice, and modeling that forgiveness instead of talking about all the negatives about your neighbors, about other people, really pushing that down, telling the facts, right? There's still facts, but really forgiving and saying, hey, watch, we're going to forgive this person, even though they're still ignoring us. I can see that they hurt your feelings and they hurt mummies and daddies, but let's love them. Let's see if love truly can win. See if the bumper sticker's true, right? See if God's love can flow through us, honey, and see if we can soften the heart of somebody that had a hardened heart. I bet you she had a hard time. I bet you her daddy yelled at her a lot, right? And told her what to do, like daddy does sometimes, right? And doesn't feel good, does it? No, it doesn't feel good, right? So modeling love, modeling forgiveness, and having peace in your home is something Rebecca's really big about. And I didn't notice it first 13 years of marriage. I'm a whirlwind, if you've seen some of my spicier side even come out on this podcast, but I'm super high energy, super spicy. I go for it when I'm passionate about something. But that energy in a home is destructive, right? You want peace in your home. And Rebecca's like, out, get up, finish your call outside. We want peace in our home. We want to be able to feel and not have this, in our home. So if you can, that is an emotional toxin, right? Unforgiveness is an emotional toxin. Not having peace in your home, you're going to have conflict, right? But a lot of the things that we're implementing now is no yelling, just whispering. If you're yelling at a kid like across the room, and they're not paying attention, they're locked in, man. They're in imagination mode, and all that. I walk over gently, put my hand on her shoulder. Did you hear, Arayla, that mommy asked you to do the dishes instead of the old Warren, which was, what the, Arayla, get the, you know, but that has been massive. It just creates more peace in the home. You don't have to yell. A whisper is powerful, right? And there's a lot of great Instagrams and educators that are talking about that. I think, letting your kids sleep in, right? Not doing too many activities, making sure we don't have to get our kids up early to get on a bus, right? Because we homeschool. And I think homeschooling, which is skyrocketing, out there, right? It's because it's creating more geniuses. The Montessori method, a lot of the wealthiest people in the world didn't go to private schools. They were Montessori, trained, because it doesn't, you don't lose the creative problem solving. And that's what you want to let your kids do, is be creative problem solvers, right? If you tell them what to do, they lose their creativity if you put them in a box and in school. And that's why I love like letting them go outside, letting them solve problems on their own, whether it be doing artwork and what glue to use and what not to use, and making mistakes and cooking in the home, and all of that just creates this solutions based. And it just our brains are absolutely brilliant. They're so suppressed. The school system so suppresses our children. And there's great schools out there. I'm not hammering that, but a lot of the things that are in our culture really suppress the unique abilities of our child. And it breaks my heart that I was so suppressed, that I was put on the short bus, that all these things, but I'm a creative genius. So are you, Katie. And I go back to that little kid that was told to do it this way. And I can feel that pain. I can feel that squandering of my soul and my spirit. Right. And I still, because it happened to me, I do it to my kids still to this day. So the things that I'm speaking to you are only the things that I continue to remind myself. That's why I need to keep listening to podcasts, doing podcasts, and being a part of a community that holds me accountable. We have moms groups and things that we're involved in, just to be like, hey, I screwed up. What do you do? What are the strategies that you use? But unlocking that genius, it's so fun to watch. And I've seen it in parents that maybe they were raised right and they're raising their children the same way. I mean, they're memorizing books like from front to end, and they're not, they're just normal kids. They didn't have some special wiring. I mean, they're bright, but they're memorizing books because they were never told that they couldn't, right? So the capacity of our children to learn, to impact, to, we're big on problem solving. We're big on focus on the solution, not the problem. We're big on showing kindness and love and understanding to be able to, someone's doing things different than we are, and conflict resolution. These are the skills that I think that we're going to need in the world to come, right? And I think our hearts need to get bigger, creating that sensitive heart and not slamming it. And again, that's me. I mean, those are some of my greatest pains of raising my children, is just squandering their hearts at times. And I just, I've cried about it, more times than I can even count. Anytime I'm meditating and praying, that comes up, and I just cry out the pain, because I've done those things. You've done those things. Do some breath work, mom. Let's wrap up with this. Moms, get into prayer, get into meditation, forgive yourself. Uh, you know, this is probably the biggest thing that will make you a better mom. And then you can model it to your children. So take care, like I don't want to say self-care, because self-care has the wrong thing, but get spiritually grounded, get connected to God, know that you're loved, right? It's so simple, but it's the most empowering thing that you'll ever experience, knowing that you're loved, knowing that you're not judged, knowing that, there's not you're not being whipped and punished, and you need to suffer and have more pain in order to learn. Yeah, pain and mistakes are your greatest teacher, but God wants you to have a good life. He wants you to, be happy. So choose happy things, right, for your life. Don't always sacrifice. Choose some good. Do some good things. And a lot of these practices that are out there, and Katie has podcasts upon podcasts of experts. Find something that works for you, whether it's breath work, whether it's breath work is great for me, because my mind gets busy, but I start doing breath work, and man, I open up, and that, hormonal change happens from breath work, and the buzz happens, and the energy releases, and you're like, holy cow. Like, I can't be in my head, but I have to push through in the breath work to get there, because there's like, my body's fighting. Meditating, prayer also gets me there. Listening to music that you love, just getting free from all the stuff, get it off you, so that you can be present for your children and model that. I think, moms, if you take care of you, the good flows down, right? I know that for me, that my parenting skills are a reflection of the learnings that I've got, and this podcast is a great place to do it, because Katie, I'm not going to lie, you're a brilliant woman, a brilliant mom, and you've been at this a long time, and your heart's right. So you're in a safe place here, guys.
Well, thank you. That's a tremendous compliment. And I received that with gratitude. And I love so many things you just said. I think that remembering that you are loved and that you are love, like at our core, that is, we are here to love and be loved. And keeping that barometer of peace in the house, or my words for this year are grace, ease, and joy. And I'm trying to evaluate as we choose things and activities, like, can this bring more grace, ease, and joy? And also that mindset piece you touched on of, I have this belief that really, like, we could be eating the most on paper, because I've done this spreadsheet perfect quote unquote diet in the world, and taking all the supplements. And if our mindset and our spirit is in a place of fear or guilt or shame, those things are not going to benefit our body as much as they could.
True.
And so I love that you speak to that piece as well. I know we could have so many conversations on this topic, and it still would never be enough. And I know I already want to do more podcasts with you in the future if you're willing, especially we didn't even get to delve into things that can age us more quickly. I would love to do a whole episode on that. But for now, I would love if we could wrap up with anything that you would put that we haven't already touched on in kind of your own 80/20 that you do with your family, of things you feel that are very important in that sort of 20% category that gives 80% of results, or any last thoughts. I know in our last episode, we touched briefly on zeolite, which I think is a great tool that can be in that category for helping address some of the physical exposures that we have. And I love that this conversation has been in the more mindset and spiritual realm. But anything you want to make sure we leave on this list before we wrap up?
Yeah, Katie, I think we hit on the big one with moms and dads, really taking care of themselves first, and finding, that support that they need, finding in a community. We kind of talked about that earlier. I know that you're launching a community, like a biohacking almost community locally. I mean, if you don't live with family, that this has been hard for us. We don't have families, so we got to create family, kind of open up to friendships and people that can come into your life and love you and be loved. Getting in relationships, that don't take you down, right? You know that if you continue to hang out with this person too much and your kids hang out with this person too much, they're going to start falling into some of the habits and behaviors you don't want. Don't feel guilty about limiting that. I know that we have had to do that over the years, that try to find families that are doing it and doing it better than you, if you will. Not that any of us do anything better, but have some learnings that you don't have, and start associating with families like that they're doing parenting in a gentle and kind way, and so you can learn for them. We need community, we need each other. I need you guys. Hopefully some of the information Katie and I share, but we need you. We need your learnings. We need the things that you're doing well, and that's why you need to share the podcast, but more importantly, share your thoughts. And I noticed that once I opened up to trying to find better friends that challenge me, some amazing people have come into my life that are challenging me to be better, to be more heart-centered, to have a big impact on this world. And I think that one of the things that's been great for me personally, and even great for Rebecca, is realizing the capacity that we do have, and stop telling yourself you can't do something, or I'm too tired, and like all those things. It just comes down to the mindset, is that you as an individual can heal, right? If you have a health challenge, you can and will heal. You will get more energy, right? And knowing that you will, even when you're in the struggle, and being around people that, just say, oh, don't worry about that. Here's the big one. Here's the one I want to leave with this. Follow that gut instinct as a mom. It is so powerful. Don't listen to the doctors. Don't listen to your friends. Listen to God, the divine, the universe, what it's telling you when something's toxic, when a behavior that you're doing is wrong, right? And you need to change, but you don't know how to change. Like pay attention to those little that still quiet voice. Sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's screaming and it's background noise. But this is where, when you settle yourself and start listening to that intuition that's within you, that fifth dimensional thing, it is one of the most powerful tools that you can have. And I know for me personally, when I step into that place of intuition, my parenting's better, my non-toxic dad is better, my health is better, and my life just gets better, because I'm leading with my heart, I'm leading with my intuition, and I'm correcting myself and forgiving myself quickly, and moving into a better place in my life. And it's so fun to grow, right? And I've been at the lowest of lows, guys, lowest of lows, unkind, sick, not able to sleep, chronic pain, you name it. I've been through it. And it was only thing that got me through was hope, and other people saying, you're going to be okay. You're going to get healthy. It's those words, those languages, they're powerful, right? Negativity is like witchcraft. Positivity is God, right? It's God energy. And having people speak life into you, and getting around people that speak life, and speaking life into yourself, man, it is like, it's the good magic, right? And it's so important. And so just give yourself, a big hug, a pat on the back, and you're doing a great job. You're kicking ass as a mom. You're going to continue to do better and better. And we all are. And we just link arms, and we can do this together, guys. Great job.
I love it. I think that's a perfect place to wrap up for today. And like I said, I hope that you'll agree to more episodes in the future, because there's so much we didn't even get time to go into. But for today and for this episode, Warren, thank you so much. I am deeply grateful for all that you're doing in the world, for the amazing dad that you are, for the change that you're working to create, and for your time and all that you've shared today. So thank you so much.
Katie, I'm deeply honored to be a part of your community, and to share with these amazing moms that have been with you for so long. So thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
As Warren said, thank you for listening and sharing your most valuable resources, your time, your energy, and your attention with us today. We're both so grateful that you did. And I hope that you will join me again on the next episode of the Wellness Mama podcast.